What are some great real-life love stories? A middle-aged gentleman walked into the makeup section of a department store. The salespeople approached him assuming he was buying goods for his significant other. To their surprise, he begged them to teach him how to put on makeup. They were a bit taken aback, but seeing as the store was not particularly bustling at that hour, indulged him. He took detailed notes throughout the rather thorough lesson, and finally at the end they simply couldn't hold it in any longer, and asked what had inspired him to learn this art. He replied, "My dear wife recently lost her sight in a terrible accident, and so she can't put on her own makeup anymore. We've been married over 2 decades, and she knows I think she's the most beautiful woman in the world no matter what. But when we go out nowadays she doesn't have the confidence she used to have. I came here because I want to be able to put her makeup on for her so she can feel as beautiful on the outside as I know she is on the inside." What's the biggest mistake you've watched someone make in their personal life? One of my best friends walked out on his wife and 2 kids because a girl at the gym and him were having a relationship. As it actually turned out, she was just being friendly and chatting to him. No relationship, no mutual decision to be together, nothing. He misunderstood polite friendliness for flirting, and destroyed his own family for it. My sister owned a home with her husband and first child. Her father-in-law convinced them that if they sold their house and became live-in caretakers for some old relative of his that he would leave his supposedly nice house in Austin to them. They'd get to live rent-free at this house, it would be theirs outright when he dies, and they'd be set. So they sell their house, move to Austin where they don't have jobs and move in with this guy. And it's absolute chaos. Guy is constantly watching porn on the living room TV with their toddler around, doing old guy stuff, telling them what they can and cannot do in the house and when they can come and go. It's a freaking nightmare. They end up leaving the house, and getting their own place. They also eventually moved to another state for a few years and came back. They've never been able to buy another house since housing prices have gone way up and they didn't have enough equity on their other house that they sold, so they've been bouncing from shitty apartment to shitty apartment ever since.
What's the dumbest reason someone broke up with you? Was convinced I was cheating on them with my gay cousin. Were you? I started getting gray hairs at 20. She broke up with me because she wasn't into having a GILF, she was a year older than me. Ouch. Feel for you, dude. I was the same. Just became the running joke when it had come up in conversation. Yeah, it started going gray when I was 19, right around the time I met my wife. They saw a car pulled over with a flat tire and took it as a sign from God. I think they were just looking for any reason to get out of the relationship. Using this one though is a bit creative. Because dad found out I listened to metal and have tattoos, that's not wholesome enough for his daughter. So she dumped me and found a good Christian boy that likes country music. Incidentally, he also ended up going to prison for meth trafficking and got the ex-girlfriend thrown in prison with him as she was driving her car with the 38 pounds of methamphetamine in the trunk, lol. Her dad liked me. Like I had this 3 or 4 times. You were there to prove a point. You just weren't informed. Only a couple dates, but she decided I didn't look enough like her dad. Yeah, I didn't really feel like becoming morbidly obese either.
GF26F is blaming me 26M for her weight. My girlfriend, over the past 4.5 years or so, has put on a lot of weight, and as the years went on, it got more and more rapid. My approach was to stay quiet, only bring it up if she did. I didn't want that argument. I figured it'd be a lose-lose for me no matter what I said. This past weekend, her best friend from college flew in with her boyfriend. The 4 of us had dinner and her friend wanted a picture of just her and my GF, so I took that. In the ride home, she freaked out, told me how big she looked and how out of shape she looked. Once we got back to our place, she weighed herself and just made herself more upset. I tried to get her to calm down and to talk through this with me. She opted instead to interrogate me and ask why I never stepped in? Why I never brought up her weight? Why I wasn't concerned with her well-being, her words. I told her I wasn't going to get into this with her and I went to bed. It's been awkward ever since. How can I fix this? My husband told another woman that he loved her. My husband is a great guy, puts his family first. He has only loved 2 women in his life, her and me. I know he loves me, we've been married for over 20 years, has never strayed. His ex is dying. She has days left. She asked to see him as they were each other's first loves. He went to see her, talked about the 80s, held her hand, hugged her and told her that he always loved her. And, I'm okay with that.
What's an obvious sign someone's American? Walked into a bar, in Australia. Ordered a beer and then the bartender noticed I'm American. I asked, was it the accent or my choice of Budweiser beer? He said, because you're the fattest fuck I've ever seen in my life, mate. When I lived in Europe, people said only Americans eat while walking. I'd be eating a bagel or something on the way to work or class and multiple people asked if I was American, lol. British man once told me he knew I was American because I was wearing a baseball cap backwards. Wife throws out meal I made. I'm pretty mad and have no other outlet. My wife had a rough day at work today. She mentioned that she wanted chilaquiles for dinner. She was going to make them herself, but I volunteered to cook. I fried the tortillas and scrambled some eggs with salsa. When they were done, she said that they looked disgusting and that I had burned the chips. She then took the plate I had handed her and threw the food straight into the trash. I'm trying to get past the ego bruising. I think I'm a pretty good cook, at least insofar as I like most of my own cooking. My wife knows what she likes, she didn't ask me for my help, and she's under no obligation to eat something she doesn't like. I know all of that intellectually, but her behavior still stings. Boys, be honest, what makes a girl instantly unattractive? Being rude or disrespectful without a reason. This. Being a cunt for no reason other than I'm a girl so I can. If she litters. Had a girl throw a bag of trash out of my passenger window while taking her home. She called me a tree hugger when I called her out on it. Constantly talking about an ex, even in a derogatory manner. Let it go. Honestly, what would you do in public if it was socially acceptable? Run everywhere. Look, it's cool you want to stand around the supermarket, but I'm just here to sprint past 60 aisles of not animal crackers and get my animal crackers. Also, just sitting on the ground whenever. Physically grab people and move them out of the way when they're spaced out in the grocery store taking up the entire aisle. Drape myself in velvet.